So for our listeners who haven't heard of you before, who are the Gaslight Anthem and how long have you guys been around?
We've been around for 2.5 years, and we're a band from New Brunswick, New Jersey, in America, and we play soul music and punk rock music, and we've been on tour pretty much consistently since then, and this is going to be our first time in Australia.
I guess I wanted to ask you a bit about touring, actually. Like, I knew you guys were out on the Warped Tour at the moment, and I imagine it sometimes must be weird or difficult to be on these kind of big, epic tours. You know, sometimes it must be amazing and sometimes it must be hard. I was just wondering if there are any other bands that really inspire you or that you kind of look to in terms of how they operate with constant touring?
Yeah, I mean, like, we always look at, like, where we live in New Jersey is really close to where the Bouncing Souls live, and we're pretty good friends with those guys. And they kind of have taught us a little bit about it, and the guys in Against Me kind of taught us about how to tour and like the things to do and how it affects you, like, you know. But these bands have been on tour for years and years and years, and they just, you know, they kind of helped us along, like especially like the Against Me guys and the Bouncing Souls. They really have kind of just, and Hot Water Music, they're big time Hot Water Music. They really helped us, and they were just like, you know, these are the things you do to not go crazy, but to stay sane, or like they taught us how to save money on like hotels and things, and they teach you different tricks. It makes it okay, and these big tours, you can kind of feel like you're getting lost in them, but you also get to see really good bands. Like I saw this band Norma Jean today, and I never would have listened to them in my life. And I saw them live today because my friend Lucy is doing sound for them, and she's from the Czech Republic. She's just over here doing sound. Yeah, and they're great. Like, they're not bad. You know, it's not like my cup of tea, but like I think they're a good band.
Do you get to meet a lot of your audiences?
Yeah, we hang out. Like even on the Warped Tour, we hang out after we play, and we're always around. Even like in regular tours, we're always around in the. We're the kind of band who shows up and like load our gear in, and then we just hang out in the bar or wherever we are, in the club, and we just hang out, and we can talk to whoever wants to talk to us. We'll sit there and talk to them all night long.
I kind of recently discovered the Gaslight Anthem in the last couple of months. I guess Resist put out the record here, so that's kind of when I got to hear it.
Yeah, Graham's great.
Some of your lyrics seem to be drawn from your personal lived experience, and some of it distinctly seems to be taking on the perspective of another person. I'm just wondering, like, when you write from the first person perspective, it's not necessarily always you writing, right? Or is it you that writes the lyrics?
Yeah. It is. It's always my story. Like even when I write about someone else, I'm kind of writing. Sometimes like I'll write about other people, like from the other perspective, to like kind of hide it a little bit. But most of the time, it's about me. Or like things that I've seen my friends go through, and sometimes I'll take their perspective, even though I'm just telling their story. So it's always got something to do with my personal life.
Has the degree to which you kind of draw on those experiences, has that changed with each album you put out?
Yeah, it's always from the things that I've seen. Like, it just seems to be that, you know, life keeps going no matter, you know, where you are, and there's always something more to write about and new things that you see every day. So I always have something to write about and something to think about, like especially being in different countries and different, you know, states every day, and you see so many different things and you hear so many people's stories that there's always something to write about, and there's always people you meet that you're impressed by, and you're just like, wow, you know, you sit there and think about it, and then you write something.
Yeah, do you find that you write a lot while you're out on tour?
Yeah, I write all the time. Like, sometimes I'll think of something to say, and I'll just write it on a matchbook or somewhere, or like a napkin, and just write it with a pen, and I'll write like a line or two, and then I like compile it all together and see where I'm at every once in a while and put a song together.
I guess I'm pretty curious about the song that seems to be about Joe Strummer. Like, is that song taking on the perspective of like an alienated teenager alone in their bedroom, kind of like a letter that was never sent to an inspirational punk hero? Or like, what's the story with that song? Is that your story?
Yeah, well, actually, when I was a kid, I was really, really young, and I was walking around the town that I grew up in New Jersey, and there's this record store. And I was looking for, like, Rancid or something that day. I don't remember what I was looking for, Operation Ivy or one of them bands. And I didn't really know too much about punk rock. And I was just looking for the bands I liked. And the owner of the record store was like, hey, man, you know, listen, that's not really punk rock. Like, you need to find about this band, The Clash. And I was like, The Clash? I'm like, who's that? So he bought me the record, and he gave it to me, and I took it home, and it literally, like, blew my mind. And the song is about the day that I found that record and that he bought it for me. And it's actually, the song's actually a letter to his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I always kind of hope she would hear the song somewhere, and I don't know if she has or not, but the song is like a letter to his wife letting her know that, because after he died, I wrote it. And I was just like, you know, this is what your husband's life affected me. Like, all the way across the ocean, this is what your husband had such a good effect on me and completely changed my life. And, you know, it's like a thank you. It's like an honor of him and a letter of comfort to her.
Did you write it pretty immediately after he died? Was it an immediate kind of response, or just in time it came?
No, it took a few years. Like, I was thinking about it for so long, and then one day I just kind of sat down and remembered everything that happened. And I must have been reading a book or, like, had watched a documentary on them or something, and it just kind of all came together. And I wrote it down, and that was it.
Yeah, so it literally is like this kind of teenager in their bedroom and, like, the walls trembling or whatever. Yeah,
most of my songs are very literal. Like, it really, you know, I can narrow everything that like, every line I can narrow down to one event, and I can say, like, oh, this is when that happened.
I was kind of thinking about, like, the Gaslight Anthem, and I think it was Willie Nelson that said something like 99% of the world's lovers are not with their first choice. That's what makes the jukeboxes play. And I guess I wanted to ask you, like, to what extent do you think that angst and heartbreak and discontent make for the best music? Or maybe to put it another way, do you think that contentment and happiness makes for less interesting music?
No, I think that, like, you take all the angst and the heartbreak, and you kind of try and realize that everybody goes through that, and you have to live your life anyway. So we try to write about, you know, like, hey, this happened and this is not so good, but, you know, we can still kind of rise above it, I guess, you know, like that old Black Flag song, you know, Rise Above.
Yeah, you can kind of find meaning and comfort in even the worst times, I guess.
Yeah, it's how you grow as a person, you know. If you live a life that's completely unaffected by tragedy, you're going to be a boring person.
I guess what made me start thinking about this was all those Gaslight songs about driving and listening to the radio, and it seems to kind of allude to driving around like trying to figure things out.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I think that the radio is like it's like magical, because, like, you never know what you're going to find on that radio, you know? And, like, when you're driving alone and you're just twisting the dial around, and you never know you're going to hit some college station or hit, like, you know, you're driving through the towns and the stations keep changing. You never know, like, is it going to be, like, the replacements, or, like, you know, are you going to find the next new thing? Like, you're going to find the thing that's going to hit you right in the chest, and you're going to be like, this is my favorite band. And it's so, I don't know, it's like the radio, there's magic inside there. It's pretty cool. I think that, you know, people, they don't, when you have the radio too, it doesn't force you any images. You don't have any images of the band or what they look like or what their video looks like, and it allows your imagination to wander.
I guess just one last thing. So you're playing in Brisbane on Saturday the 26th of July at Rosie's with two bands, A Death in the Family and The Gift Horse. Do you know much about Australian bands or Australian music at all, or is it all going to be new for you?
Well, most of the bands are going to be new, but A Death in the Family we know because they came to America when we were on tour in October with The Draft and Dead to Me. So we're friends with those guys already. And I think Jamie's one of my favorite people in the world. I love that guy so much.